Thanks for choosing to watch this video. We are excited that you are willing to learn more about equity, diversity, and inclusion. The practices and initiatives that we suggest have been shared by industry professionals and verified with academic research. We hope you enjoy our presentation.
Because the purpose of this plan is to assist an organization that wants to implement new EDI initiatives, we felt it would be helpful to approach this topic by using a change management framework. This framework comes in 3 phases: preparing for the change, managing the change, and reinforcing the change. We will start with preparing for the change, which includes understanding equity, diversity, and inclusion, and defining an overarching strategy for implementing EDI in an organization. When trying to understand EDI initiatives and the motivation behind them, there are some key aspects that we need to understand. These include trust, accountability, having a shared understanding of purpose, awareness, and belonging. As we move toward our best practice recommendations for EDI initiatives, you will see that many of them are based in these key ideas. Put simply, these aspects together mean that in an organization, we have to be aware for the need for a change. We need to have a shared understanding of what needs to happen and why. We need to know how we can achieve our goals. And we need to hold ourselves accountable. Moving on to our high-level strategy, we have identified 5 steps in creating a plan for EDI. First, we need to build organizational trust. EDI can be a difficult topic that many don't know how to approach or how to discuss. So building trust in an organization is essential with the executive team, managers, and with the employees. Second, we need to assemble a guiding coalition. By this, we mean that EDI initiatives will not be successful if they're solely housed within human resources. EDI influences, but it does not own. So getting high-level leaders on our team means that EDI can actually be integrated into the organization. It's important to have leaders from the executive team involved, as well as leaders from other areas of the business. Third, once we've assembled our leadership team, we work with that team to establish a vision and high-level strategies. What problem are we trying to solve? Why is EDI important to us? Once we understand the answers to these questions, we can set high-level goals to reach for and define what success will look like. Fourth, we assign accountability to members of our leadership team, and ideally, those that are also on the executive team. Without accountability, there are no real incentives for people to make changes happen. Finally, we build out our specific supporting initiatives. What initiatives are put into place will depend on the vision established by the guiding coalition and will be designed to support that vision and the associated goals.
Moving on to Phase 2, we will now focus on a developed plan and the best ways to take action when implementing EDI initiatives. We've outlined here 6 categories for best practices in EDI: attraction and selection, development and compensation, culture and safety, employee resource groups, leadership, and accountability. For attraction and selection, many EDI initiatives focus on mirroring the community in their attraction and selection processes. They aim to match the demographics of the population. In order to accomplish this, we recommend adding diversity among recruiters and interviewers. In doing so, the organization overcomes some recruiter and interviewer bias. We also recommend casting a wider net. It's challenging to bring in new diverse talent if your applicant pool is limited to your LinkedIn connections. Even posting on general job websites is not often enough. It is critical to expand your network in order to bring in new, diverse talent. We also recommend editing job descriptions and their criteria, as they can be altered to attract more diverse talent if the job posting includes a message about the company's commitment to diversity, and the wording in the job description invites cognitive diversity, or those with unique backgrounds or schools of thought. As for unconscious bias, we recommend 3 things. Offer awareness training for your employees, label the types of bias that are likely to occur, such as affinity bias, the halo effect, perception bias, confirmation bias, and groupthink. We also recommend creating structures in decision-making, interviewing, and resume reviewing to make them standard across the organization. As for interviews, we recommend having diverse interviewers, but then also having different ways to hold yourself accountable or the organization accountable. One company explained their parity pledge, and they've taken the initiative to show that they've committed to interview at least one qualified female applicant for any position, VP or higher. This has also recently been extended to individuals of color. For development and compensation, we recommend incorporating D&I training into onboarding. Setting the standard from the very beginning is critical, as it sets the standard that EDI is important to the organization. We also recommend creating formal mentorship programs, as it helps give up-and-comers a strong footing to stand on. Another important aspect of development and compensation is pay equity. One of the organizations we spoke with has committed to fair and equitable pay in their organization. They match compensation and they open up transparency. As for performance appraisals, we recommend that they be done often. We also recommend that they be done by trained individuals who know and are aware of their potential bias and know how to overcome bias. Additional recommendations are that they can be specific, numerical, and in ranking orders as for the actual structure of performance appraisals. For culture and safety, we recommend promoting EDI at all levels. We understand the importance of having top leadership be involved in EDI initiatives, as this inspires change on an organizational level. We also recommend having training be voluntary. Some of our research mentioned using incentives to encourage participation in EDI initiatives. We have found conflicting information about incentives and have come to the conclusion that this will greatly depend on the organization. If your organization is one where the employees have a history of thriving with incentives, then this may work. If your organization does not, on the other hand, this is not the place to try out incentive programs and to encourage participation in EDI initiatives. We also recommend creating a sense of belonging within your organization. In doing so, you can create and encourage shared norms and inclusive behaviors. Setting up these norms encourages that belongingness without insisting on assimilation, thus allowing employees with a diverse set of backgrounds and life circumstances to feel included. We also recommend allowing people to feel themselves and to accept them as they come, not making them feel like they have to change to fit the organization. Additionally, we recommend ensuring that your culture practices are non-threatening. One example of this is that women know that in math contexts, people could judge their gender group negatively should they perform poorly. As a result, evaluative math tasks can be threatening for women. So in order to create that sense of belonging, we recommend altering company functions and different interactions to facilitate an environment for people who are different to feel like they can ask questions, seek to understand, and feel like they are in a safe environment where there is no judgment and where they feel they can belong. As for language, one example we saw in our research that can negatively impact employees is using the word chance. If you are giving people a chance, particularly those with disabilities, this can marginalize them even though the intentions are for the benefit of the individual. Using words that seem like you have this corporate benevolence can cause issues in your culture and safety and create a less inclusive environment. By using words like giving them a chance, focuses rather on the abilities of the individual, but instead their abilities are overshadowed by those normative standards and that corporate benevolence. In order to create a safe environment for employees and a strong culture of inclusiveness, it is incredibly important to make sure everyone's on board and that that sense of belonging is there.
Our fourth category is employee resource groups, or ERGs. ERGs are a hot item in EDI these days. In general, they have been grassroots movements started by employees seeking a sense of belonging. Unfortunately, in many organizations, they have led to employee burnout without having a significant impact. We believe that if done correctly, they can be a great benefit to any EDI plan, and can be a place where diverse employee voices are heard, and that create a sense of belonging. To correctly implement an ERG, it's important that these groups be created by starting with a purpose, and by that purpose being connected to business strategy. By starting with the strategic goals of the business in mind, ERGs can help ensure that business strategy is equitable and fair. One way this can be done is by using ERGs essentially as think tanks. What we mean by this is the ERGs consist of diverse groups of individuals that may approach business problems in unique and beneficial ways, allowing for members to offer their ideas and suggestions, and providing those ideas to company leadership is a great way to ensure that the best solution to problems is found, and that those solutions will be equitable. For ideas such as this to be successful, there must be accountability. This can be accomplished by having ERG leaders be members of the leadership team, or at the very least, have ERG leaders report to the business leadership team. The leadership team must also be supportive and involved with the ERG. Next, we have leadership. As with ERGs, all DEI initiatives need to have the support of leadership to be successful. Leadership figures stand as role models for employees, so having invested executive leaders that walk the walk will show that the organization is serious about EDI and that it expects compliance from everyone. Leaders will be most successful in influencing others when they have a genuine interest in and want to be involved in EDI initiatives. To enlist the support and buy-in of more resistant leaders, one of the most effective practices is to build the business case for EDI. Changing hearts and minds is a noble pursuit, but sometimes what it takes to get support for EDI initiatives is helping leaders to see how they will directly benefit and support the business. What does the organization have to gain? How will these initiatives help the business to achieve its strategic goals? What benefits for employees can be realized? Once business leaders are on board, we must create a core team consisting of individuals from various business functions, such as operations, finance, and IT. Again, EDI influences it does not own. For this reason, having a leadership team from all aspects of the business will give weight to EDI initiatives and ensure that there is follow-through. One of the first steps of any initiative is to train the managers, supervisors, and other company influencers, or those that are highly visible and influential. The trust and relationship that managers have built with those that they supervise will provide them with a unique opportunity to foster understanding. For this reason, training managers on how to talk about diversity, how to support diverse employees, and how they will be held accountable is a crucial step in any EDI initiative. Finally, we have accountability. Initiatives can be measured by performing company audits and surveys. These can help to understand and correct institutional biases and to better understand the progress that has been made on EDI initiatives. One reason for the lack of success in EDI initiatives is the failure to connect diversity programs to organizational performance systems and processes such as strategic planning, performance management, compensation, and human resources development. Leaders, especially executive leaders, should be held accountable for diversity metrics so that these goals are actually made into a priority. We have a few caveats to our best practices. First, there will be variability in how each individual reacts to and interprets each initiative. Their perceptions of diversity initiatives can produce unintended consequences for the business. These include backfire, negative spillover, and false progress. Any number of initiatives can cause one or more of these unintended consequences. Because of this, best practices depend on the needs of the organization and need to be customized to each business.
Now we will move on to Phase 3, reinforcing change in EDI initiatives. Not every practice will be beneficial for every organization, hence there is a need for some trial and error. We recommend a 3-step ongoing process to reinforce EDI initiatives: evaluate, restructure, and implement. When evaluating the effectiveness of an EDI strategy, the organization can conduct audits, review metrics, and ask for employee input. When restructuring, it's important to remember that the needs of the organization change over time, and best practices are updated as more research is conducted. New practices can be put in place based on the new needs and techniques. When implementing EDI change, it is critical to still include top management and have them take responsibility for the changes. This will continue the organizational support throughout the process. Here we have an example of what organizational EDI audit could look like. It is important to ascertain what is working and what is not. Some examples of measurements would be the number of goals met, the percentage of employee engagement from a variety of backgrounds, the percentage of positions that are filled by minority groups, the percentage of women who are paid less than men for similar positions, the percentage of women in positions at every level, as well as the minority group representation at every level. These are just some of the measurements that hold organizations accountable to their EDI initiatives. Here we have our finalized plan with steps for implementing equity, diversity, and inclusion every step of the way. It is important to understand where the organization is lacking, what they value, and where they are willing to improve before moving forward, then making a change using best practices and reinforcing that change over time. EDI initiatives are an ongoing process, not a one-time event. By instilling a sense of continuous improvement, the organization gives credibility and strength to their EDI strategy. Thank you for watching. We hope your organization benefits from these equity, diversity, and inclusion best practices. This is the EDI Initiative research team that made this all possible, and we hope you enjoyed our presentation.